Hi, today I'll be showing you how to save the data from HTML file into the backend through PHP. So here I have just created a folder called PHP practice. Inside that I have made two files. One is HTML file and the other is PHP file. So let us open this HTML file and see how it looks like. Just double click on this. See, what am I going to do now here is I want to save student's name, address, phone number into the backend. So this is a HTML file which is asking the customer type in the details, student details. First we are asking student name and then address, then phone number, then submit by details. So when any student enters his details and click on the submit button, these details must go and save in the backend. That is the procedure. So how to achieve this? First what we do is we just create a database. So I hope already all of you have this XAMPP software. So I'll be opening the XAMPP software now. So open XAMPP control panel. Once you open the XAMPP control panel, you have to create a database and a table to store these student details. Table will be having three fields because we are accepting only three details of the students, that is student name, student address and student phone number. It is very simple. We can do it in couple of steps. Yeah, let us start this WAMP server, XAMPP server and MySQL also. Once you start these two, just minimize. In the previous lessons already I have discussed, I have taught you how to use this XAMPP control panel. So now what we do is just go to the admin session of this MySQL so that we can create a database. Yeah, here we can create a new database. You can just go to this databases option. Once you go to this databases option, there will be an option called create database. You can create a database here. So let me create a database called student. So just click on create button. Here it is. Once you create a database, the next step is you have to create a table. So let us create a table. Automatically it shows the table name. It will ask the table name. So the table name would be student DLS, that is details. Table name is student details. So number of columns, we just need 3 columns because we have only 3 details to be stored, that is student name, address and phone number. So once you fix the number of columns and give the table name, that is student DLS, just click on go button. So here you need to give the fields names, that is 3 columns. First S name, that is student name. So student name database, obviously it should not be integer. You have to change the database as, for example, varchar, and give the length as, say for example, I'll just give 50 as a length. Then the second column, I'll be doing it as yes address, student address. Even this cannot come under integer. And all these data types I'll already have explained in a different video. So I'll just go for varchar because whenever you want to store a character, obviously you'll be using the varchar, so that you can use even size also. For address I'll be giving 150 size. And the last one is phone number. So I'll just give S phone. See, these are just the names of columns, names of fields. You can give whatever the name you want. So then integer, yes, you can give integer. Basically integer gives only 2 bytes in all other languages like C, C++, Java it gives 4 bytes. But here in MySQL, integer size would be very large. See, it is showing you the integer size is basically ranged from -21474 83648, that would be more than sufficient to store a phone number. So it's giving almost more than 10 digits. So I'll go for integer only here. If you feel integer would not be sufficient to store a phone number, you can go for big int also. Big int stores more bigger numbers, but here I would stick for integers. So once you create all these three columns, remember the column, please remember the column structure also. First column is yes name, second column is yes address, third column is yes phone number. Because when you save the data from HTML to backend through PHP, you need to remember the column names also, column positions also. First you have to store name only, second you have to store address only, third you have to store the phone number. So once you do this, just go for save. Your database is created and your table is also created, but the table is right now empty. So let us close this session. Let us close this database or minimize this. I'll take it separately and I'll just minimize this. So let us work on this. So what I would like to show you here, I have created two files. One is HTML file and another is PHP file. Let me first explain you HTML file. I'll open the coding of this HTML file. Right click, open with Notepad. So here I've just created a HTML and then body. I've just given a H1, that is heading 1, type in the student details. So that is what you are able to see here. Type in the student details. That is coming from H1, that is heading 1. And then form. Creating a form is very important when you are linking the HTML file with the PHP file, because form provides some fields like method and action. Action is very important here. So in the form, I'm just giving the method as post. So there are two methods here called post and get. I'll detailedly explain about this post and get in another video, but right now we'll concentrate on this action. So inside the action, I have mentioned the PHP file, phpfile.php, what I have created to accept this data. So what is the meaning of this action? See, form is starting here and the form is ending here. So when you are linking HTML file to PHP file, obviously within the form, you have to write the entire code, and within the form, you have to give one submit button. So you can clearly see input type is equals to submit, not the button. Normally to create a button, we use type is equals to button. But here, when you click on this button, automatically the computer should go to the phpfile.php. So that's the reason we are giving here type is equals to submit. One submit button can be there in one form. You can't have a multiple submit buttons. But you can have a multiple normal buttons, but submit button should be one in one form. You can have another submit button in another form, but in a single form, you can have only one submit button. So what this submit button does here, when you click on this submit button, see type is equals to submit, name I'm just giving it as SB1, you can give any name here, and value means what should be written on the button. On the button I'm writing a message called submit my details. That's what is coming here. You can see here submit my details. That's a button name. So when you click on this button, what will happen? The computer will directly go to this file. That is the meaning of the action here. And what we are doing here, we're just giving the message called student name and one text box. Text box name is very important here. The text box name I'm giving it as txt name. So text box name is very important here. And one more text box I'm creating for address. That name of the text box is text address, that is txt address. And one more text box for phone number, the name is txt phone number. So I'll just minimize this and this as well. Let me open now PHP file and see what is the code I have written in the PHP file. So right click on PHP, directly you can double click and open here because it's in the PHP. It's not a HTML file. So it will directly open in the notepad. What is happening here? The first step in PHP file is connection. I'm creating a variable called connection, CONN. This name you can give anything, it's just a variable name. And then I'm using some inbuilt functions present in PHP to connect PHP to the backend, that is MySQL. So once again, I'm telling you, this is a PHP file. Already I have given a lot of programs in PHP. You'd be knowing how to start PHP, how to write a coding in PHP, how to end the PHP. You would be knowing already. So this is the starting PHP. The first step what I'm mentioning is I'm just creating a variable and I'm using the inbuilt function called MySQL underscore connect. What this MySQL underscore connect does, it will connect this variable to the mentioned backend. I have just mentioned the server as local host because I'm not launching the website now, live website. I'm just working the PHP in offline server. So whenever you are working on the offline server or exam server or WAM server, you need to mention by default it's a local host. And then you have to give username and password. Username is by default, it is root. For all the offline servers, username would be root, ROOT root. So I'm just mentioning root here. Password is null. When I explained you MySQL, I have told you clearly the password is null for default MySQL. But when you are working with the live servers, you need to enter your server's username and password. When you purchase live server, the server hosting person will give you the username and password. Those usernames and passwords you have to enter here. But right now it's just double quote and double quote. I have not given even space. Even space also it will take it as a space. It will not take it as an empty. So you should not give space. You just have to give double quotes and immediately double quotes. So what is this MySQL connect does is it will connect this variable to our local host. So when you want to connect to local host, you have to mention the username and password. So I have mentioned here second parameter user and third parameter is a password. Password is null, user is root. And then echo connection. I'm just printing the message of connection here. It is not required. So I'll just remove this. Then the next step is one more inbuilt function I'm using, that is MySQL underscore select underscore DB. DB stands for database. In this step, we are connecting this variable to a particular database. So this is not the database I just created now. I created a student database. So I'll just enter here student. That's a database name. So if you remember, I have created a database name as student and table name as student DLS. That's what I just created. So what I'm doing in this step is I'm connecting this variable. See, this variable is already connected to the backend, but in the backend there are a lot of databases. So to which database you have to refer a particular database. That's the reason we are using this inbuilt function called MySQL underscore select underscore DB. So in this function, first you have to mention the name of a database and then variable name. Variable name is obviously this, and the name of database is student. So we have connected successfully this database to a particular database, this variable to a particular database, and then we go on to the next steps. In the next step, we are using the request statement. Already in the previous classes, I have told you what this request statement does. Once again, I'll tell you. This request statement will accept the input from the HTML file and push to our PHP variables. So here I'm giving txt name. So you can just see the HTML file. This is txt name. This is the name of this particular text box where customer will be writing his name. Student will be writing his name. So I'm just linking this to this variable. So I'm creating a variable called as name and I'm requesting the data which is present inside the text box name. So whatever customer enters in this particular text box will be stored in sname here. Then similarly, address box, whatever customer enters in the address text box will be stored in sadd, and phone number text box information will be stored in sphone, and then we are creating a variable. See, this variable is used to just store the query. So this is a query what we are doing. In SQL already we have learned this query, insert into all these are the SQL commands. Insert into database name is student. Okay, this is not the database name, it's a table name. So table name is not a student in our database. Table name is student DLS. That's a table name. So insert into student details values. We are just passing first. We are passing name, because if you remember when we created table, the first column was name only, student name only. So I am passing the student name into the first column, I'm passing the student address. This student address, sorry, we have written your address and here we have written only ADD. So either you have to write your address or you have to remove this. So I'll remove this. Let it be yes ADD. Sorry. And then student phone number. If you observe, for this address and name I have given single quotes, but for this phone number I have not given anything because it's an integer database. So data type is integer here. Since it is a character string here, I have just given here single quote. Why single quote? Because already double quotes I have used here. I can end this double quotes here only at the end. In between you can't use double quotes, so I have used single quotes. Or else you can do vice versa. Here you can do here you can use single quotes and here you can use double quotes. It's your wish. But normally the standard procedure is we use double quotes to open and close. In between, if we had to use any quotes, we use single quotes. So this is the query. This query will be stored inside SQL. So in this step, we are just storing this query into SQL, but we are not executing this query. Where we are executing this query? Here. Result is equals to MySQL underscore query. This is again the inbuilt function in PHP which will execute the query. So this is the query what we are mentioning, that is $symbol SQL. $symbol SQL is nothing but insert into student details, values, so and so, so and so. You can directly mention this entire stuff in this position, but it is a good practice to store the query into one variable first and then mention the variable name here. And where this query should be executed, this query should be executed in this particular database. CONN means CONN is already connected to student database. So obviously this query will be executed in the student database. Or die. Or means what? If any error occurs while executing this query, it will die and it will give default MySQL error message. So then if result is equals to 1, so that's the reason we are creating one variable called result. If this statement is getting executed without any errors, problem, then result will become true. If this is if there is any problem here, then result will become false. So if result is equals to 1, that means if result is equals to true, that means record is successfully inserted. So I'm just giving the message called record inserted successfully, and this echo also already I have discussed in the previous lessons. Else record is not installed, inserted successfully. So let us save this file. Once we save this file, let us try to execute this. So how to execute this? When you open, you should not open the PHP file, you have to open the HTML file, because in HTML file when you click on the submit button, obviously you will directly go to PHP file. That's a code is all about. So let us go to the coding here, refresh it. I'll just enter some student names, suppose Kiran. Address, I'll be entering it as Bangalore. Phone number, I'll enter some phone number. Now click on submit my details, and here, okay, here this code is not getting executed. Instead of executing, it's showing the code. That means we have not saved the file in the form of PHP. So let me see whether the file is saved in the form of PHP or not. Alright, the problem was you cannot open any PHP file directly double clicking. You have to open all the PHP files through server only. So what I'll do is I'll just go to server. I'll just open any browser. So all of you know how to open the server files, that is localhost / okay. To open these files in the server, what I'll do is I'll just copy this folder and I have to paste it inside the server only. Then only these files can be opened. HTML file anyway you can open, but PHP file will not be opened until you open this in a server. So I'll just copy this and paste it in the server. So you go to this PC, C drive. So XAMPP is the server what we are using. So go to XAMPP and go to htdocs. This is a place where you are supposed to save all your website files. So here I'll just create, or I'll just paste directly that folder. The folder name is PHP practice. So I'll remove the space, let it be PHP practice. Now let me open this in a server, localhost / PHP practice. So we are opening, two files came now, HTML file and PHP file. So as I told you, I have to open this HTML file and I have to enter the details like Kiran, Bangalore and phone number. When you click on submit my details, it is taking you to PHP file and it's giving some error here, that is uncaught error to call. Okay, MySQL underscore connect is the problem. All right, let me just open the folder in localhost, because this is the procedure to open any PHP file. By just going and double clicking, it will not execute the file. So you have to open through server itself. So localhost is our server. So localhost / your folder name, that is PHP practice. So PHP practice, just click OK. It will open all the files which are present inside that folder. So we have two files here, HTML file and PHP file. You have to open first HTML file and then you have to give your name, address, phone number, click on my submit. So it has inserted record. So record inserted successfully. So let me just go back, refresh, insert another record. For example, Anil, address Mysore and some phone number. Just click on submit my details. So it has submitted both the records. So to check whether it is submitted both the records, you can just go to your PHP MyAdmin, refresh it, and you can just open the tables. Browse. See, it has stored Kiran twice because I just clicked the button twice. So it has stored Kiran details twice and then Anil, Mysore. So all the records what we saved in HTML is getting stored in the backend. So this is one step in PHP. So that is accepting details from the customer and sending it to the backend. This is first step. The second step is, if you want to retrieve the data of any student from the backend, then you can retrieve through PHP. That is the second step. So we'll discuss about that second step in another video. I hope you like this video. Thank you very much for watching. Hi, I'm your online tutor Rakshith. I teach web designing and digital marketing. If you want to be a web developer or digital marketing expert, please visit my website digitalrakshith.com. Thank you.